Everyone knows Miyamoto Musashi as the greatest swordsman who ever lived. Almost no one knows that he considered the sword the smaller half of winning. The larger half, he said, was staying in command of your own mind before anyone else was involved at all. By the time he fought his final duel, Musashi had already won over 60 fights, and by most accounts, almost none of them were close. For centuries, people have tried to explain that with technique, a better stance, a faster draw, some rare physical gift. Musashi rejected that explanation outright. In his own writing, he says a fight is usually decided before either side draws a blade, and what decides it is not skill, it is which man is still in possession of his own composure when the moment finally arrives. Look closely at the duel that made him a legend, against Sasaki Kojiro on the island of Ganryujima. Everyone remembers the wooden sword, carved from a boat oar on the way over. Almost no one focuses on what Musashi was actually doing in the hours before that. He arrived late, and by most accounts, entirely unhurried. While Kojiro stood on that beach for hours in front of his own men, growing angrier by the minute, Musashi was, by every account we have, calm. Not performing calm. Genuinely regulated, untouched by an insult that would have provoked most men into acting rashly. Kojiro lost his composure before the fight even started. Musashi never had to take it from him. He simply never gave his away. This is the part of Musashi's teaching that tends to get lost under the more mystical language, the void, the formless mind. But underneath the philosophy is a much simpler discipline, one he trained for decades before he ever trusted himself with a blade. He writes about a mind that does not tilt, not underreacting, not suppressing feeling, but never allowing an external event, an insult, a delay, a fear, to move you from your own center. He is explicit that most fighters lose not because they are technically outmatched, but because something rattles them first, and the technique they trained for years quietly disappears the moment they need it. Mastering the sword, in his account, was the easy part. Mastering the self under provocation took him a lifetime. This is where the idea stops being about swords entirely. Anyone who has been in a heated negotiation, a hostile meeting, or a high-stakes conversation knows the feeling of watching their own composure slip in real time and knows how much it costs them once it does. The point is not to out-argue the other person. It is to remain the only person in the room still thinking clearly. The negotiator who takes a slow breath before answering an aggressive offer is not stalling. They are refusing to let someone else's urgency become their own. The person who can sit in an uncomfortable silence without rushing to fill it has already retained something the other side has lost. Most people prepare for conflict by rehearsing what they will say. Musashi would say that is the smaller preparation. The larger one is training yourself so that nothing in the room can move you before you choose to be moved. Ask yourself honestly, the last time you lost an argument or a negotiation, was it really because your position was weaker? Or was it because somewhere in the middle of it, something got under your skin, and you spent the rest of the exchange reacting instead of choosing? Musashi built an undefeated record on a mind that would not tilt. Most people never train that muscle at all, and wonder why their best arguments fall apart the moment someone raises their voice. So before your next confrontation, whatever it is, do not prepare your words first. Prepare your composure. Decide in advance that nothing said to you in that room gets to move you, and let everything else follow from there.